Hello and welcome. You're watching Long Story with me, Akshita Nandgopal. Now, over the last 2 months, Delhi felt 11 mild earthquakes. And over the next half hour, we speak to experts to find out if multiple consecutive tremors are a precursor to a bigger jolt, why predicting an earthquake is difficult, and also find out how quake prepared is the capital, Delhi.
"11 tremors in the last month and a half. In the middle of the coronavirus crisis, is there a threat of a big earthquake looming over the national capital region? The National Center for Seismology recorded 10 earthquakes between April 12th and May 29th. But is a bigger jolt coming? A US geological survey says that multiple small tremors and consecutive earthquakes can be a precursor to an earthquake of high magnitude. A view corroborated by a professor at IIT ISM in Dhanbad. The professor claims that in the last 10 years, the national capital region has witnessed close to 300 quakes and says that there is an urgent need to take precautions against a future calamity.
दिल्ली में इतना बड़ा बड़ा अर्थक्वेक आ रहा है 5.6 मैग्नीट्यूड दो शब्द से और 64 and 4 to 4.9 मैग्नीट्यूड अर्थक्वेक तो ये तो कंसर्न तो है ही तो ये एट डिफरेंट लेवल ऑफ द स्टेक होल्डर ये आपको इनिशिएटिव अवेयरनेस इनिशिएटिव लेना पड़ेगा.
Delhi sits in a high seismic region and is also in close proximity to the Himalayas, where several high-intensity earthquakes have occurred in the past. But scientific opinion on a big quake hitting the capital is divided.
इस प्रकार के इवेंट से फ्यूचर के बारे में प्रेडिक्ट नहीं कर सकते. पहले भी भारत के डिफरेंट पार्ट में ऐसी घटनाएं हुई हैं. अभी तक ऐसे माइनर अर्थक्वेक को ना तो हम लैब में और ना ही किसी हम साइंटिफिक इक्विपमेंट के द्वारा प्रेडिक्ट कर सकते हैं.
दिल्ली एनसीआर रीजन जो है ये जोन 4 में आता है, सेस्मिक जोन 4, जो कि जो हाईएस्ट अर्थक्वेक प्रोन एरिया है वो जोन 5 है. इन छोटे अर्थक्वेक से नहीं मिलता है कि बड़ा अर्थक्वेक आने वाला है या नहीं आने वाला है. देखिए, अर्थक्वेक की फोरकास्ट या प्रेडिक्शन पॉसिबल नहीं है.
There are many situations where small little events occur and no main earthquake comes. So as a matter of fact, globally there is a very major effort to recognize a shock as a foreshock in real time, but we are not yet there.
A stronger earthquake in the national capital region, which has a population running into tens of millions of people, could be disastrous. With most constructions possibly not conforming to norms, many buildings might just crumble.
Now, the reason why these recent earthquakes have also raised speculations about an impending bigger quake is because Delhi lies in Zone 4 of the seismic map of India and is categorized as a high damage risk zone. But what is a risk zone and why is Delhi so susceptible? Take a look.
Like many urban centers of the world, the national capital region of the country is highly susceptible to multiple disasters, both man-made and natural. And just like any other rapidly growing urban sprawl, change in land use, unregulated urbanization, rapid increase in density, all add to the challenges of dealing with a hazardous disaster, especially a medium to high intensity earthquake.
While we cannot predict earthquakes, the ways and means are available to develop earthquake resilient society. And there we need to learn to live with earthquakes.
Delhi lies in what is recognized as Zone 4 of the seismic zoning map. The map denotes how prone to earthquakes is a region, and owing to its location next to the Aravalli range, and proximity to the Himalayas, seismic activity or tremors aren't new for Delhi.
Very difficult to say at which point an earthquake may occur, because it is not necessary for an earthquake to repeat. But whenever an event occurs, we do not know at that time whether it is a foreshock to some larger event. It is only after the main earthquake occurs that we discover that what had happened 1 month or 2 months ago was a foreshock.
Delhi, along with a significant portion of northern India along the Himalayas, falls in Zone 4. And Zone 5 covers the areas that suffer earthquakes of highest intensity. Certain parts of Kashmir, the western and central Himalayas, the northeast Indian region, the Run of Kutch are some of the areas that fall in this zone. Zone 2 and 3 pose low risk of damage due to earthquakes. Experts clarify it is difficult to say the recent tremors hint at an impending earthquake of a higher intensity. Since Delhi lies in an area which is in constant seismic activity, an impending earthquake is a reality, but no one can predict when. But what experts do warn of is the disastrous impact an earthquake can have on a densely populated city like Delhi.
The trouble is, unfortunately, the density of the city. Delhi is trying to bring in the TOD, a transit-oriented development, where the FAR, the density is going to go up immensely high. That means the number of people being exposed now in the heart of the city is much more higher.
Most death and destruction in an earthquake is caused by the collapse of man-made structures. Architects and urban designers point out that most new constructions in the city do follow existing building norms and policies to make a structure quake resistant.
India is governed by the BIS and the IS 1893 applies to the entire country. These codes were originally written for earthquake resistance, not earthquake proof. Back in 1962, then they got revised along the years, 75, 84. And more recently, after the unfortunate events at Latur and then in Bhuj in 2001, these codes were further refined. Responsibility primarily in the organized sector lies with the architect and the structural engineers. So we are quite confident that at least in the organized sector where there is a proper structural engineer, there is a soil bearing capacity test done, foundations are planned accordingly, buildings will not fall down.
But within the city lie many areas which still remain outside the purview of these policies, and therein lies the problem.
A lot of areas in Delhi where these regulations are really not executed and followed up upon. These include the urban villages, the informal settlements, the sort of slum-like clusters which exist in many parts of the city. These places, the earthquake regulations and the structural norms are often not followed, which means that the buildings in these areas are particularly susceptible. There are also small developments near the Yamuna banks, they are on the ridge. These are areas which are sensitive. They are certainly prone to earthquake damage. They also cause issues in soil erosion which affect the greater city on the whole.
Unfortunately, smaller plots of land, 25 feet by 35 feet with only 4 columns on either side, with some civil contractor or yourself medication, the client decides to put 4 bars of 12 mm each on each corner, extended to 3 floors, 4 floors, following no bylaws. They are hoping that the relaxation on each other or the dependency on each other will save them. That's the chaos, unfortunately, that we are generally worrying for.
We have got several reclaimed areas in Jamuna and elsewhere which are very, very, very potential for soil liquefaction. And soil liquefaction takes place when the entire upper crustal layers of 100 or 50 meters, they act like a jelly. And any building which is depending on them for their strength would collapse. So we are nowhere close to prepared in Delhi to handle a large earthquake.
Damaging earthquakes have hit Delhi in the past. Tremors have shaped this piece of land on which the capital is built since ancient times. But can the present policies secure the city's future? How prepared is Delhi to deal with a quake?
Before we delve more into what goes into making buildings safer, let's understand why an earthquake happens, what's going on under the surface.
When the earth quakes, the ground shakes and the walls of houses crack. Bridges buckle and man-made structures are tossed around as if made of mere reed and mud. Severe earthquake leave destruction and debris as its aftermath. In its scariest manifestation, earthquakes kill at random. It harnesses the power of nature from deep within the earth's core and lashes out in complete disdain at everything on the surface. Where does it get its power? From where comes the tremendous energy that rattles the teeth of every living creature that walks the crust? In the beginning, when the earth was formed, it was gas. When the gas cooled and congealed, it was but a sphere of molten elements. As the atmosphere formed and the earth cooled, the crusty old crust of the earth began to form. And this crust, about 30 kilometers deep, broken up as plates, floats over the mantle. The plates, because they float, rub against each other at the cracks or fault lines. And when they really brush against each other, imagine these massive plates of unimaginable billions and zillions of kilograms in weight trying to maneuver for space. That's when the earth quakes. Some earthquakes have foreshocks, smaller quakes that lead up to the big one. And then it is followed by aftershakes of smaller quakes that can go on for years as the monster plates settle down to new demarcations.
That we took up creation of a virtual earthquake, and there was a repeat of 1905 Kangra earthquake. In 1905, this earthquake had claimed 30,000 lives. So we took up the 4 states, that was Chandigarh, Punjab, Haryana, and Himachal Pradesh. And we created a scenario by taking the isoseismals of the 1905 earthquake, and on those isoseismals, we placed the typology of the houses. So we got to know how many houses will get destroyed. And then you put the population density on the top of it, then you get to know how many people are likely to get killed. And that gave a very scary picture. If an earthquake of magnitude 8 plus occurs, repeats, where 1905 Dharmshala earthquake had occurred, we could lose 700,000 or 800,000 lives. And I was very worried that what kind of a result I'm getting, is it really true? 2005 earthquake, Muzaffarabad earthquake, which occurred on India-Pakistan border, the earthquake was only of magnitude 7.6, and it claimed 80,000 lives.
Every day, there are hundreds of earthquakes taking place all over the world. There are rumblings and gurglings of the earth escaping from deep below. Most of these are not even felt, and only very precise instruments are able to capture them. But once in a while comes that unpredictable big one, and the world of humans go topsy-turvy on top.
So what happens to a building when the earth it stands on shakes? Architect Abhishek Bij gives us an explainer.
Imagine a building like a cantilever from the ground. So building comes up from the ground, and what happens in an earthquake or a a cyclone is actually the building sways. And even in an earthquake it rocks. So when the building rocks or sways, these structural elements can account for all these lateral loads or the torsion that happens on the building. However, the walls, the fillers, cannot account for these sways. So if there is a severe earthquake, again, these fillers are the problems. They are liable to crack or fall down. So that is the safety that we.
Countries like Japan have experienced far stronger quakes more frequently than most places in India. So what can we learn about their quake-resistant buildings? Our expert gives the lowdown.
See, every Japanese house, when it is built, they take care of factors like soil liquefaction. So there are tests available which tell you that during the anticipated accelerations, how many meters of the soil would be liquefied. So they take their buildings and they take their underground stories, basement, to a depth which is lower than the liquefiable soil zone. So when the earthquake comes, it does not make that building move the way it would have done in case it was not.
Slipping into a short break now, and on the other side, we'll flick back through history and take a look at some of the most devastating earthquakes that shook India. Over the last 2 months, Delhi has felt 11 mild earthquakes, but there was speculation about an impending bigger jolt. Experts say that there's no way to predict a quake, but there is a lot that can be learned from past quakes. We'll take a look now at some of the major earthquakes that's hit India in the last few decades.
On the morning of 26 January 2001, even as the 52nd Republic Day celebrations were kicking off, an earthquake measuring 6.9 on the Richter scale struck Gujarat at 8:40 a.m. The initial shock lasted a bare 2 minutes, and then came the aftershocks. It caused widespread devastation, killing over 20,000, injuring lakhs of people, flattening cities and villages, and destroying thousands of buildings. Over 10 lakh people were rendered homeless. Being close to the epicenter, Bhuj was among the worst affected areas. On October 8, 2005, Kashmir was struck by an earthquake which measured 7.5 on the Richter scale. The epicenter of the earthquake was in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, or POK. Countries like India, Afghanistan, Tajikistan and China were all affected due to the tremors. Approximately 86,000 people died, 69,000 injured, and about 25 lakh people displaced. The major destruction took place in POK, where about 70% of the casualties were in Muzaffarabad. The 2011 Sikkim earthquake occurred with a moment magnitude of 6.9 and was centered within the Kanchenjunga Conservation Area near the border of Nepal and Sikkim. It occurred on 18th of September 2011 at 8:10 p.m. The earthquake was felt across northeastern India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh and southern Tibet. At least 111 people were killed, most of them in Sikkim. An earthquake measuring 7.9 on the Richter scale hit Nepal and parts of India on 25th of April 2015. While widespread damage to property as well as human lives were reported from Nepal, over 50 people lost lives and hundreds were injured in the districts of Bihar bordering Nepal. Exactly 6 months later, an earthquake measuring 7.5 on the Richter scale struck Jammu and Kashmir on 26th of October 2015 at around 1:30 in the afternoon. The epicenter was in the Hindu Kush mountain region of Afghanistan. The quake caused huge damage to property across the valley, while there were no reports of casualties in the region.
So there's no denying that Delhi is vulnerable to a big earthquake, but so are multiple areas across northern and northeastern India. But like quakes of the past, earthquakes will continue to strike completely unannounced because they seldom really give any advance notice with foreshocks. This brings us to the end of the special show. Stay safe. News and updates will continue on the other side. Thanks very much for watching.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.